Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Björn.
And we are Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
We're so excited for episode 3 of Ragnarok season 2. I don't want to talk at all in the beginning. Let's just do it. Cool. Oh, I'm almost spilling my drink.
Odin.
Yep. Super exciting that we finally got the man himself.
Odin was there at the beginning of everything, along with his two brothers, Vili and Ve. They are the ones that created Midgard and basically set everything in motion.
Yeah, with the corpse of his grandfather, Ymir, the first of the giants, the primordial giant. They killed him and used his body for it to make like the world around us and the universe. Pretty exciting. Look at that. So in the intro, I think it touched about something about him being able to see the past, present, and future. And he kind of can't. We got a reference to him being able to, his eye being able to see more than you would think. And so I just wanted to kind of touch on this here. He can't like see the future necessarily, but like he definitely knows of certain things to come, or certain people's behaviors, and he's able to like put those connections together, I think. But there's an interesting thought that says that his eye that he carved out and threw into Mimir's well allows him to see into the realm of the undead. And so it gives him like it's blinded to the physical material world, but it allows him to like see into the ethereal world. Yeah. And like it gives him more knowledge that way. So it is like a little bit of an interesting thing of like, his eye does see farther than we can really understand and stuff.
Yeah, that goes back to the fact that the eye that he gave up for knowledge sits at the bottom of Mimir's well. And we know from mythology that Mimir's well, one of the ends of it comes out in Helheim.
Yeah.
So there's this thought behind it that if his eye is at the bottom of that well, then it would see to Helheim. Now the question becomes then, does that eye then relate what is happening to his brain? I mean, that's kind of thinking of him as a human that has a brain and the anatomy of a human, I suppose.
Yeah, we don't know how the gods are put together, so that's pretty fair. Who's to say that just because the optic nerve severed means it doesn't still work?
Yeah.
Which also merits the question of like, can Tyr still make his hand move
inside the wolf
in Fenrir's belly? Like, is he able to be like tickle tickle? Like, stop it!
Just forever playing with his puppy.
Yeah, right. But so yeah, that's where the kind of thought originates. But it is a very interesting thought, though. He is able to see into the realm of the living and the dead, which is it's just conceptually so cool.
I love that theory. I like how they're kind of introducing the gods with each of these episodes. I'm kind of curious to see who else they gets such a famous introduction.
Yeah, right.
Moving forward.
Ska vi ringa politiet?
Nej, jag känner. Inte har sett för.
Gud, vad det här gör. Akkurat som du passar den!
Stackars Gud.
I mean, what would happen if he just summoned thunder and killed her there?
Right?
What would they do? Would they call the police, or would they run terrified?
He's awake.
Nå setter vi oss til ro, Linda. Ikke sant?
I tross for din ringe størrelse banket et bjørnehjerte i ditt bryst. Svardalf.
What?
I love his waking up moment of just like putting on the necklace and immediately just like seeing through everybody and like knowing it all too.
Yeah, exactly.
But just like you need to stop throwing out your meds and start taking them. And just like you are in a dark, whole.
It's also kind of interesting too because Odin, as a god, was always seeking knowledge. That's why he's missing an eye. He gave up one of his eyes to Mimir as well to gain knowledge. Among other things that he's done, he's constantly searching for more answers and to know what happens at Ragnarok and everything. So he is the all-knowing of the gods, basically.
Yeah, I mean, his whole quest for knowledge is basically to delay or prevent Ragnarok. I mean, ultimately, it can't be prevented. So the whole point is that he's trying to sacrifice as much as he can to like learn about Ragnarok and put it off as long as he possibly can.
Hei. Hvor går det?
Det går fint, det.
Vi skal over til kontoret, vi skal bare hente vann på veien.
Artig at du er så mye i mediene om dagen, da, Saksa.
Ja, det er veldig moro. Du, det hadde vært hyggelig hvis vi kunne hengt litt sammen, da. Jeg har ingen planer i dag, for eksempel.
Nei, jeg har ingen planer.
Ja, jeg kan jo bare bli med dere. Og så kan vi slippe å saksa på tur opp til utoret. Da kan jo vi kaste øks eller ja, sånne far og sønn-greier.
Det vil jeg gjerne. Jeg elsker å kaste øks.
I will say that every time I see him speaking with Laurits and Laurits wanting to spend time and hang out and everything like that, it really doesn't seem like he wants to get to know him at all. Like, he's just, yeah, we could do that if you want to, I guess. He really seems so disinterested, and he's just kind of going along with it and doing it so that Laurits would like him and do his bidding.
Har du lyst til å... Skal vi kjøre en tur?
Ganske sulten.
Jeg har masse mat. Jeg har skjønt.
What a coincidence. He seemed very legitimate in that of like, oh my god, what a coincidence. I have food. I can feed you.
I can do the thing that parents are supposed to do
Yeah.
with their children.
Like, I thought that was some of like the best acting in this show so far. Of just, they're like, oh, you know, what do you want to do? I'm a little hungry. Oh my god. I have food. I'm a parent. This is my moment. I can feed you.
Du er alltid velkommen her. Det her er også ditt hjem.
Men jeg vet jo liksom aldri når dere er her, da. Jeg vil jo helst ikke vekke dere hver gang.
So it's kind of interesting to me that Vidar is the one that basically awakens Laurits to who he is as a giant, and he does so that he can use him as a pawn. So he tells Ron,
Yeah.
because she's being a very jealous woman currently, so of course he would tell her that he doesn't give a shit about these humans, he just wants a pawn in the game. But even though he's the one that awakens Laurits to who he is, I almost question, does he realize exactly who Laurits represents? Does he realize that he's supposed to be Loki? Because if he does, then putting any trust in him would not be advisable. You see Loki, you don't trust him. I don't think anyone's going to be like, I'm going to take you under my wing and use you as a pawn in this game and then trust that you're not going to break my trust. He's putting a lot of eggs into a single basket.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, that's always the line you have to walk with Loki.
Yeah.
Because you have to trust him to get things happening, but you always gotta watch him. Make sure things are going as they're supposed to. Same with Odin, ultimately.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, that kind of begs the question of, like, in terms of the Jotun, or the Jotunar's, like, origins, are they specifically named Jotun in the mythological universe? Or if he knocked up Turid and she gave birth to a child, does that just make him a giant? Or, like, how would he know necessarily that he's then going to embody Loki from that moment? Like, I'm sure you could obviously just look at Laurits' behavior like a normal person does watching the show and be like,
Yeah.
Loki,
Yeah, basically.
you know? But,
Because even Laurits himself immediately goes and starts asking questions about Loki.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But I guess it's more of, like, what we would know versus what they would know.
Fordi noen nettopp har lurt faren sin til å gi han nøkkelen til hele Justurheim.
straighten
Let me
that
just
now.
get your shirt there. Dress you up. You got a little scuffed up there. Hang on. There you go. So you know what? You should stop looking at pictures of Mjolnir and start looking at videos of how to forge.
Jeg leste at Thor smidde hammer seg på en veldig spesiell måte. Så jeg tenker jeg skal putte den opp på flammene.
Ja. Lykke til med det.
It's a lot of metal to heat up. It takes a bit.
Loki, shut up.
Funker ikke.
Watch a how-to forge video. Like, Forged in Fire, random dudes on YouTube, like, read a book, something. Like, don't stop looking at just random pictures of Mjolnir and watch a video of, like, how to forge basics 101.
Did Magna really think that holding the hammer over a flame would turn up magic?
Yes. Clearly the answer is yes.
And, like, he went in there with no idea. He's using his brother, who has just stolen a key from Vidar, or taken the key from Vidar, I guess. So, Laurits is currently betraying his new father in order for Magna to get in there and forge his hammer and do what he needs to do. And he goes in there with no idea about what he's gonna do.
Not
He's just
a
like,
single plan.
maybe I'll just hold it over the flame and it'll work.
Yeah.
And of course, Laurits in Loki's fashion just naysays the whole thing.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like it's kind of obvious at this point. Like, it has to be forged in the eternal fire.
Right.
Like, that's what she said, right? That's what the woman said, the Volva. So yeah, it has to be forged. It doesn't. She didn't say it has to be held over the fire. She didn't say forged somewhere else and then brought to the fire and, like, warmed up. Like, she said it has to be forged in it.
Yeah.
Which, again, watch Forged in Fire. It's a great show. And, like, come on, man. It's frustrating for me a little bit.
Yeah, so what she also told him is that is to meet him on the side of the mountain. And she would, show him what to do, basically. I don't think her plan was to try and get into the Yul's house, but she told him to meet her on the side of the mountain. I think they have to go underground.
Yeah.
And find the source of that flame. And that's where they're going to be able to forge the hammer.
Yeah, I'm thinking kind of the same thing.
Because, like, that little flame that's coming up at the top of the mountain in the house is... I mean, it's there, but there has to be a heart somewhere deep in the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're going to have to go to eventually forge the hammer.
I agree. I definitely agree. Especially just with the connection of how it was forged in Svartalfheim.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dark Elves, they literally live, like, under the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their world, like, the world of Svartalfheim is kind of thought of, like, being subterranean.
Mm-hmm.
Subterranean. So there's got to be some kind of little connection with that. We met a dwarf.
We did.
We met a Dark Elf.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it that because I don't want to sound like I'm being
Odin immediately called him out as being a dark elf, so that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, and I wonder if he's going to be there when the hammer is forged.
I mean, that's
What is
literally
his
what
name? Do we know his name?
I was gonna ask. I don't think we got
Okay.
his name yet.
Okay.
At least I didn't see it.
Maybe he's Brock.
Yes.
Jeg holder på å lese til eksamen.
Yeah.
And then we get his disappointed dad face when he takes advantage of having the key to Jotunheim, and we start to see that, like, trust fracture, and he gets all upset, like, realizing that Laurits isn't his ally and he's still trying to help his brother with the hammer and stuff.
Der er min.
You don't know how to hide at all. Why did Magna have to, like, come out and reveal himself and take a stand? Like, Laurits told him to hide. Let Loki be Loki. Let him talk his way through it. Like, let him try to manipulate the situation and come out on top. Damn, boy.
I mean, no one said that Thor was the smartest cookie.
I mean, Thor was pretty smart. I just want everything to fall into place. Like, everybody has a thing that they're good at, and Thor's is punching people, and Loki's is talking. Like, you hide, you stay put, you keep your mouth shut, and let Loki talk. It's what he does. Come on.
Det ser ut som noen har laget til et rollespill.
It's not wrong.
Du kom fordi du ville treffe meg.
Is he actually upset? I kind of can't tell.
I can't either.
But I don't know. It's weird. Like, I'm just in between now, thinking of, like, is he lying to Laurits or is he lying to Ran? It's, like, a little bit hard to pick it apart and really figure out, like, where their true motivation is.
I think he is giving lies to both of them, because on Ron's side, like I said, he's trying to placate her and have her not be jealous of Laurits coming into the family. And on the other end of the spectrum, I don't think he specifically cares for Laurits as his son. He just cares for him as another Jotun that can fight on their side.
Both?
Both.
Both. Both is good.
Yeah. I think he's gonna be there.
I mean, we've seen him there.
Bare kom inn.
Wow, his last name's Wagner. Wow.
Han er ikke av vårt blod. Han er en jente.
Han er broren min. Vi er jo alle brødre i kampen. Jeg stoler på ham.
Du er en forræder. Det er ikke din skyld, men det er det du er. Det er din natur.
Of course, Odin knows that he can't trust Loki, that he can't be there. Which is like, it's a little unfortunate because they are supposed to be blood brothers. But he also knows that Loki can't fully be trusted all the time. And
Yeah.
he's gonna stir up some shit and
Yup.
betray people.
Yup.
So,
And it's like you said, it's not his fault, it's his nature.
yeah.
Like, it's like he can't help himself from things up and, like,
Yeah.
making a mess of stuff to see what happens, you know?
Which is honestly really unfortunate to watch too, because Laurits is just trying to find his place in this whole thing, and he
Yeah.
decided that his side was going to be by Magnet, by his brother, and now he's being kicked out of that side by people that are saying they can't trust him. So, like,
Yeah, so in his resentment...
of course he's gonna go back to Vidar because he's trying to find his place in all of this.
Yeah, exactly. He's feeling rejected and disheartened, and he's feeling like completely ostracized and like being made into an outsider. Like, he wants to help and he's being turned away, where it's like, what the like, why not? Mm-hmm. So it's like, where else does he have to turn? His dad, Vidar, the Giants. Okay, great. Self-fulfilling prophecy right there. Like, you excluded him, and so yeah, he's gonna fulfill that role. And that's kind of the ultimate question too, with Loki and with Odin and with fate and everything, of like, if you know that's gonna happen and you actively take steps against it, is it still gonna happen?
Or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? And that's kind of the thing that you ultimately can't know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it comes down to, like, it's in his nature, you know. It's a part of who he is and what his identity is, you know.
Also, what is he gonna do with them?
Oh, blood brother sworn thing, mixing blood with Odin.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't put that together.
No. Oh no.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it.
He's done this before, hasn't he?
Clearly.
Oh my gosh. It's so insane to me that he learns about Loki and how Loki was Odin's blood brother. So his immediate answer to it is, must inject blood.
What an experience that would be.
I mean, do we know what the blood would do? Because, like, at
Nope.
least he's a Jotun, so he can relatively say safely that he's not gonna die from it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really what I'm interested in too, is like, I want to see what that does to him, because he hasn't really like changed physically or anything. He's still himself. Mm-hmm. But he clearly experienced some crazy cosmic shit which is amazing.
I wonder if he has some of Odin's knowledge now, because we did see some flashes of...
Yeah, of
certain
literally
things.
the cosmos shifting and turning into Odin.
Yeah.
And then going back, like, that was such a cool effect
It
visually.
was.
That was so awesome.
The visuals in here that they're showing of the flashbacks and the past and everything like that all look really cool, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's my biggest question of like this whole episode so far is just like, what does that mean for Laurits? What is that gonna do to him?
Mm-hmm.
What is that gonna like instill upon him? What? Why?
What's gonna happen?
Also, what?
At en dag kanskje forstår at selv om han kanskje anser seg selv som udødelig, så ikke fragmentmålet.
So the whole environmental impact thing is something that I feel like we haven't touched on in the season yet. It's been kind of there in the background, and now it's building, and now there's a protest going on with the high school kids, and you know, of course, like building pressure. Now they don't have drinking water, so it's serious.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing.
And the thing that it's making me think of a little bit, just in the background of everything, is the start of Ragnarok. So Ragnarok is preceded by 3 winters, 3 years of winter that don't end, basically. So there's that whole environmental aspect. In here, we're not seeing that, obviously, as clear cut as anything, but there is still that environmental impact that is happening, and that must be the thing that precedes, you know, the current cycle of Ragnarok, I suppose.
We have this set of things that kind of happen leading into Ragnarok that kind of show off the early stages of it. Part of it, like you said, is like the 3 years of winter, which we're kind of seeing as like just a severe like environmental impacts and things. And then the next kind of big aspect of that is like brother killing brothers, you know, father killing son, son killing father, and all these just all this familial infighting and people kind of like society falling apart and just focusing on wanton death and destruction and everything. And we're kind of seeing that a bit too with the families, with Magna and Turid and Laurits all bickering and having all these arguments and fighting each other. We saw a lot of it with, you know, this episode with Laurits and Magna, like,
Yeah, and it's a kind of interesting.
going at it.
It's also kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because even Turid this episode, I remember last episode we were saying that, you know, she's such, like, not a happy-go-lucky type of a mother, but she's very...
like loving and nurturing.
Yeah, she's very loving and nurturing. And then in this episode, when we see her, she just goes off on both of them and storms out.
Yeah,
and
she's
just like, oh.
Yeah, it's like you're starting to kind of see that breakdown, and she's starting to get really irritated and frustrated and kind of like have a shorter temper. And we've been seeing it happening this whole time with the Utils. They're obviously constantly kind of fighting and clashing and butting heads and stuff. And there's like this weird kind of subtle internal power struggle that's going on with them as well. And they're, you know, obviously they're all fighting, the two families are fighting each other and everything too. So we're just kind of starting to see like the introduction of Ragnarok kind of coming out, not as it's written necessarily, but still representative here with the changing environment and like them just having no water left over, that's leading to all the fighting and commotion and aggression and stuff between the families, and even with the protesters, just as soon as they see Vidar just, you know, swarming his car and doing all kinds of things. So
Yeah, for sure. So I think they're actually showcasing this in a really, really interesting way. It's a modern way of telling the story, but it is absolutely the story of the beginning of Ragnarok.
Definitely.
And I'm curious to see how they handle the rest of it.
Yeah.
Så når jeg blir gammel, så kan min sønn overta. Så kan jeg komme tilbake som sønnen hans.
Oh, so it is a
Da
cycle.
blir du ikke gammel.
An inbred cycle.
Weird.
Whoa. See? That staircase in their home has always made me anxious. But at the same time, I know that even if there was a railing on that stair, he would have still flown clean through it.
Oh,
They
yeah,
would have
you
just
would have gone
broken the
straight over
railing.
that railing. Yeah, or just, broken straight through it, yeah.
So, like, the railing wasn't going to stop them, but just the fact that it wasn't there made it so much more contentious, because it's just like... They did it well. They
it was great.
They used those stairs very well.
It was great. I love the design still. I would have it in my home.
It's very modern.
Yep.
Like, way too modern.
Yep.
Not OSHA approved.
Nope.
Ooh.
Laurits looked concerned and scared at first because he was about to die, and then he looked kind of mad at the very end of that scene.
He did.
He looked kind of upset.
I'm kind of curious to know what he's thinking and whether he now has a bone to pick with Magna.
Yeah.
Killing his father.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, like, that's got to be such a weird position for him to be in, though, because who he learned is his biological father, and then his half-brother are fighting it out, and basically to the death. And if Vidar had killed Magna, I'm sure he would have been just as pissed.
Yeah.
So regardless, there's no winning in this whole thing for him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, ultimately, Vidar was going to kill Laurits, so if Vidar did kill Magna, he just then killed Laurits.
I mean, yeah, there's that too.
He kind of got the best result
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
I was not expecting him to die halfway through the season. I thought that he was going to be like... Well, I guess he was the big final boss of the last season, so they couldn't exactly make him the last final boss of this season. Maybe that was going to be Ron at the end of it. I don't know. I just was not expecting him to die
Or maybe Saxa or Laurits.
halfway through the season.
Yeah, I wasn't either. My question is he was just talking to Laurits about how the Jotals and the Giants kind of go through this shifting of parentage and families, and like how when one dies they become the son of the other and kind of like continually pass it on.
It's like the most inbred family in the world.
Yeah. I mean, so even though he died, I mean, I get that he's killed. Is there any possibility of like that he is able to use that subtle magic to come back like as an infant or something? Because we got pictures of Fjord as like in a military outfit and everything. Like they've been in the military and have been involved in wars, but they were all killed with like modern human weapons.
Yeah, so they can't die.
Yeah,
technically from that.
Maybe just because that was like the actual like ancient axe, that's the thing that can kill them. So maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
That's a very good question, since he did get killed by an old weapon.
Yeah.
Does that mean that his cycle of life is now over?
Yeah. Is that nixed now? Is there any possibility of him coming back, or is it just, no? So yeah, Vidar's gone.
But now the question kind of becomes, so Vidar is gone, Fjord is out of the family, he's fighting for the other side basically now. Saxa is trying to lead a failing business, and Ron is the only one that seems to be out there trying to fight. So I think she is the one that Magna is going to have to contend with in the end.
I'd agree. Yeah, I mean, she's the one causing harm. She's trying to get Fjord back into the family. She tried to run over the three of them in her car. She shot down and killed the vulva. So yeah, I mean, we didn't really see her at all this episode, except for like the very beginning.
Yeah, she's just off doing her own thing.
Yeah, we didn't really see too much of her after that. Can't wait for episode 4. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this took a turn. This escalated way quicker than I expected it to.
I just want them to forge the damn hammer.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that. That's going to be like the season finale. The hammer is done! And everyone's dead. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. And we'll see you in the next one.